Hello, everybody. I am Matt.
I'm Sonja.
And welcome to episode 3 of our Life and Podcast. The podcast where me and my beautiful wife take you through the journey that is our life and times in kind of an autobiographical podcast. I'm going to start this week with bitching real quick, which is something I want to get off my chest. And it's just how frustrating this process has been. A lot more so than I thought it would have been. And a lot more so than I wanted it to be. It started off with all these recording issues we had, which hopefully this week, it seems like we got something that might work this time around, and hopefully it does, but we've been having trouble recording our audio where both of us sound clear, and it seems that no matter what we do, it's been kind of giving us trouble.
Well, you have no problem. Me, I'm the one that has all the problems that can't hear me.
So we're going to do something different with that. But we had to switch from our original idea of just doing a straight-up podcast to doing, sort of a video podcast, more like a podcast with a still image of our face.
It's still a podcast. So.
Yeah, that we upload on YouTube, because I was completely unaware that after your first upload through the RSS service, which, for those of you that don't know, is what uploads the podcast to things like Spotify, Google Play, and all that. Apparently you have to pay a monthly subscription fee, though, to even use that service, which is something I didn't know to begin with. So I scrambled and made us a shitty YouTube channel. So with that said, make sure if you guys like this to like, comment, and subscribe, because we gotta say that now. Well, we don't, but I'm going to anyway.
Why do you have no faith in this? We're having fun. If people like it, they like it. If they don't, well, whatever.
I don't trust me. The internet will let you know if they don't like something.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've just been fucking frustrated with this whole process. Hey, it's been after 2 minutes. Another thing we have to watch more on YouTube, because now I can swear, or something like that, right? Fuck, ass, tits.
I thought it was after 10 seconds.
I don't know how YouTube works anymore. They change the rules every
I think
week.
it's like within, it's like the first minute.
So, let's get back on track here. After we talked about last week what we were going to do for this week's episode, after we talked about it, we decided that we're going to do a week about reminiscing about dances and school functions and stuff that we had when we were growing up. Where we grew up, we had something called fun nights, which for me is probably the majority of where my stories are going to come from. But we also went to school dances and functions of that sort. Sonja definitely has a lot more experience in these areas, it seems. So without further ado, I'm going to let her take it away. So what do you want to talk about first here, dear?
Well, the first thing on my list is the fun night when I was in 6th grade. I remember this like it was yesterday, and yeah, I did write a lot of notes, but that's how I roll. Anyway, so the night was fun. About an hour into it, I saw some girls in the locker room, because fun nights, you can go to the school pool and swim, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you here, Sonja, but to kind of reiterate, because obviously we're going to have maybe a couple listeners that have no idea what Fun Night is. Fun Night was basically before we were old enough or in the right grade to do school dances. They were basically functions where younger kids between kindergarten and 6th grade could go to have fun with various activities, dancing.
I think they separated it. I think the not kindergarten, I think it was 1st to 3rd grade. Their own shit, and then 4th through 6th grade was the middle school fun night. But
yeah, I'm mistaken with that. 1st through 3rd grade didn't do that, I guess. In kindergarten,
I think they had something, but it wasn't with the older kids because they wanted to keep them separate.
That was my mistake. But basically, the gist of the fun night was a night for the kids of the class to go in, have fun, do different activities together, dance, but no slow dancing, as far as I know. Things of that nature. But anyway, continue, Sonja.
Alright, so yeah, I was in 6th grade, saw these girls in the locker room because I had to pee and that was the only bathroom I could find. Well, they were all huddled around this one girl, and I was like, what the hell's going on? And they backed up, and this girl, she was 4th or 5th grade, I can't really remember, was wearing nothing but a bandana as a t-shirt. And it didn't cover much, so...
Wait. So she was... How old were you again?
I was in 6th grade, so I was about 12 or 13, and she was either 4th or 5th grade, I can't really remember, so between the ages of, 9 to 11.
So, and their parents actually let them out of the house where...
No, I think they had it in a bag because they were all giggling and stuff, and that's what I mean. I think they hid it. She put it on. She had jeans on, too, obviously. Like, she wasn't completely naked. But I saw it, and I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, you should get some clothes on. And they're like, we're having fun. I was like, that's not fun. So I went out, and I saw the nearest teacher. I'm like, hey, there's a girl in there, and she's, like, barely dressed. And they're like, thank you. And they told her, like, you either have to cover it up or you go home. Well, one of the girls in the group later on, about 15 minutes to a half hour later, is like, thanks for ruining our night. I'm like, you're welcome.
I know there is some sort of stigma about these sort of things, slut shaming, whatever else. But I think there's a fine line between trying to tell a girl what they can and can't wear and the fact that this is a literal child that wants to dress like that. I just want to know, what kind of influences did they have where they thought that would be something they should do?
I don't know. Like, I was disgusted about it because, like, at that age, that's when I was like, well, I like guys in 5th grade and stuff like that. Anyway, I was getting, like, puberty and stuff like that. I was getting more into guys. There was actually, like, boyfriend-girlfriend happening in 6th grade. I couldn't imagine doing that, like, a year or 2 years before that. Like I said, they were, like, 10, but I just thought it was funny that girl's like, thanks for ruining our night. Well, I have another story from the same night.
Yeah, keep going then. Cause like I said, I definitely have less stories.
Well, I don't know. This happened, like, in the beginning. Like, fun nights lasted for maybe, like, 3 to 4 hours. Like, it was from, like, 6 to 9 or something like that. I was having a bunch of fun with my friend, and I just was, like, all giggly and jolses and stuff. And I was, like, for some reason, had a huge confidence boost. And I'm like, you know what? I'm bored. I'm good. I feel great. I'm going to go ask my crush out. And they're like, go for it. I was like, yeah, let's do this. So I found him in the gym because, like, the gym was where they were, like, play sports games and stuff like that, like throw the frisbee, basketball, jump rope, all that good stuff. And a little further up in the cafeteria, that's where the dance floor was. Well, I went to the gym, and that's where I found him, and I was, like, sat there for a minute, outside the thing, I'm like, I can do this, let's do this. So I called over his name, I was like, hey, come here. And he comes over, and I'm like, so, I was wondering if you would like to go out with me? And he sat there, and, like, looked like he was thinking and stuff, and then, after about maybe 30 seconds, he's like, no. And walked away and continued playing his game. I mean, I knew the answer was gonna be no, because this guy was way out of my league. He was a jock, all the girls liked him, all that good stuff.
Don't undersell yourself, Sonja. You're beautiful.
Oh, shut up. Well, anyway, I felt bad. I sulked all the way back to the dance floor and just, like, sat in a chair. And 2 guys that were kind of like class clowns, or, like, not really that bad, but they were, like, jokesters and stuff, were like, oh, what's wrong, Sonja? And I was like, nothing. Then all of a sudden, one of them's like, did you ask so-and-so out? I'm like, how? No? How would you even know that? Like, I have no idea how they found out. But I was like, no, they're like, oh, come on, forget about him. Let's go have some fun. Like, dance with us. I'm like, okay. And I had fun for the rest of the night. But it was just like, how did you even know?
For continuity's sake with this podcast, I think you should call them Scuba.
Scuba?
Yeah. I mean, we have an aquatic theme with the people we're naming. Snorkel is the other one.
Yeah, but Scuba, we heard on Catfish. Sorry, I watch trash TV sometimes.
Sometimes. I think that's a good portion of what you watch.
Oh, shut up. Most of what I watch is Food Network. When I don't have Food Network, I watch other stuff.
I'm not going to play too much on your TV choices right now.
Alright, so that was it for my fun night things. Like, the only other thing that I can remember is I went to a friend's birthday, and then we went to the fun night and had fun, and that's how her birthday ended. And, like, I remember this guy, I picked Our Lady Peace song, because it was one of the coaches' son or something. And they're like, oh yeah, this girl's got good taste in music. I was like, hell yeah. But, yeah, that was basically the fun nights I remember.
Well, it's kind of ironic, I guess, that your last fun night memory that you have for today kind of ended with, I guess, broken love, something of that sort. Because my first fun night memory from I'd say I was in 6th grade because I didn't really
Same
go.
grade.
Didn't really go to them before that because I'm antisocial. I had my own friends. I had my own circle of friends, and we did our own thing. And very seldom did our own thing overlap into socializing with the other kids in my class. But this particular one, so this girl, and again, it's always awkward when I talk about certain stories where I'm still friends with the people involved, and that is the case today. If she's listening, she knows who she is.
Let's call her Danielle. And that is not her real name.
I was actually going to go with Goggle. Again,
God, that's not a name. You gotta at least pick a name.
they have to be aquatic themed.
Goggle is not a name.
Well, Goggle
All right,
is the second part of a snorkel.
No, we'll name her Boggles.
Sure, Boggles. Jesus. Boggles. Anyway, so I had a crush on this girl. Basically going back as far as I can remember, because we used to be friends when I was really young. And I thought 6th grade, this is about the time people start dating. I was basically just trying to test the waters out with this kind of stuff. And I decided, I can't remember how I got in touch with her. I don't know if I called her or we just went over to her house. But I asked Miss Boggles if she wanted to go to the fun night with me. Kind of thinking of it as like a date sort of thing. Maybe I'd dance with her. Sure, no slow dance, but whatever. I didn't stop some people. And she said yes, which probably the first time a girl ever said yes to me, and probably the first time for a long time. But we went to this fun night, and I remember being dressed in at least the best clothes I had at the time. I can't remember exactly what it was, and I remember her wearing some sort of dress stuff. So it felt like a proper, I guess, date. So we get in the doors to the fun night, and almost immediately, Boggles ditched me.
Fun.
I didn't even see her for the rest of the night, which was kind of concerning because I was pretty sure we were her ride home. And she could probably remember this better, honestly, but I don't remember if we even brought her home because I couldn't find her.
I'm sure she found, if she ran off to her friends or something, I'm sure she found a ride home.
Well, she said years later, she had spent the whole fun night with her cousin that she had found somewhere around there. But me, because, again, I don't socialize with people, I was just awkward the whole night, just kind of walking around, sitting in corners, being like a sad, mopey little bitch.
Well, why didn't she tell you, like, hey, I'm going to go see my cousin, come with me, or, like, I'll be right back, or something?
I mean, we were in 5th and 6th grade, we were still kids.
Yeah, but that don't mean she can't say, hey, I'm going over here.
Well, I don't think it really crossed anybody's mind. I mean, it didn't even cross my mind that I was technically stood up until later. I just knew I was sad and I didn't have fun with anybody because nobody else I knew was there. I remember watching some of the girls dancing to the Macarena, which, 6th grade, some things are happening, so, going through puberty, let's just say, so that was probably the only good part of my night.
Okay, then.
Yeah, I know, that's awkward, but
I just love how Macarena came out in the 90s, and they still played it all throughout. They still play it today. That song's like 30 years old.
Not even gonna joke, even the few dances I went to, it seemed like the general thought process, which just says how fucking dirty we were, the general thought process of almost every guy that went to these dances is, Macarena comes on, we go to corner, girls get on the floor.
Nah, some guys joined in on the Macarena. There was people in my grade, they would go and they'd have fun. Maybe they wanted a closer look at the girls.
But there were a few guys that would join, but usually it was 80% the girls that were dancing, and the rest of us were just over by the lockers or whatever, like, yeah.
Yeah, I know majority would be guys, but I'm just saying, or the majority would be girls, but there'd be some guys that would join.
So, anyway, that was my first fun night, and definitely not the only time I've been stood up, which we'll get to later. My next story, though, is, I believe it was still 6th grade. If it wasn't 6th grade, it was one of the first dances we did in 7th grade. That was an actual dance.
Yeah, 6th grade ended fun night. 7th grade is when they started the junior high dances.
But me and my friends, a couple of my friends that I had at the time, we were there by ourselves. We were just having fun. No girls, nothing like that this time. we asked the DJ that was there. We requested that they put on Korn's Right Now, isn't it? What the hell's the name of the song? Do you know what? God, it's
You call yourself a fan?
It's just eluding me right now. Here to Stay. It was Here to Stay by Korn. It was one that has no copyright. No copyright.
Yeah, that was just a little melody. That ain't copyright.
Oh, fuck YouTube. Anyway, we had asked them to play the song, and they have this part right in the beginning of the song, basically that Sonja hummed, where basically, I guess you could say the beat.
A lot of bass.
The beat drops, as you could say. So, we asked this guy to play this Korn song, and we get on the floor. We're like right in the middle of the dance floor, me and our friends. And as soon as that beat drops there, the song picks up, we just run at each other. We basically started...
No, you didn't say you hardcore walled there.
Okay, so to be more...
Death walled.
We did death wall, but we did not do what you would typically do in a mosh pit. We weren't like waving arms around or anything. We were basically just bumping into each other aggressively.
Yeah, but you said mosh. You didn't say it was a death wall. It was a completely different...
The mosh started because of a death wall. Anyway,
yeah.
6th grade death wall mosh pit in grade school. And we got maybe, after we started that, maybe 30 more seconds out of the song that the DJ's just like, okay, no, we can't have that shit going on. And, like, shortly after that, one of the monitors came up to us and was very close to throwing us out for that. We were like, we're just dancing, we're just having fun, you know? And then they played the song again, we beat the shit out of the monitor, and we kept going.
That's weird,
Obviously
too,
not, but...
Because, like, a little story off of that for me, I think we were 10th or 11th grade, it was just like a formal dance. They played Land of Confusion by this, like, Disturbed's version of it. And, like, all my emo friends and, like, drama kids and all that, I guess they were, like, hardcore dancing or, like, doing that stuff. They played 90% of the song and then stopped it when it got to the, and I remember long ago, like, the breakdown. And they shut it off. I'm like, there's, like, 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, like, 2 minutes left of the song. Are you kidding me? You played the whole song and then you stopped it there? I was pissed.
What got me was... I feel like we've done something similar before, or at least some of us had, with the moshing, to some really non-moshable songs like Nookie by Limp Bizkit.
Oh,
But I think it was just because we were so aggressive that one time without being like, again, without killing each other. But I'm curious how many of the people that were involved in that mosh pit still remember it. Because to me, it's like one of the most distinct memories I have of that time.
Are you friends or talking to
anyone? One of them.
That was it? Okay.
Yeah, one of them is still on my Facebook friends list. So if you happen to listen, hey, let me know about that mosh. Remember that shit? Speaking of friends on my friends list, there is another sort of story from a fun night. I believe it was a fun night or a teacher's night. I actually didn't have this one written down because it just popped in my head.
Works that way.
But what ended up happening was the janitor went and they were like cleaning the hallways and shit.
Yeah.
And me and my friend, we went into the hallway. What's Mr. What grade was he? Oh, shit. I'll have to censor that, but yeah. Fourth. Okay. So we went to that hallway. So I'm assuming this must have been in 4th grade. We went to that hallway while it was unlocked, and we went into his room, and for some reason, we were like sitting in the beanbag chairs because we were like, oh yeah, we got in here, and Mr. Whatever had Mr. Google had these beanbag chairs. We sat in them, and we were like, yeah, we somehow got away. Nobody saw us come in here. And then I don't know which one of us had the thought, but we were like, sorry, I cut out there. Let's trash the place. And we proceeded to like flip over the chairs, dump out his drawers, like anything we could get our hands on, and we just completely destroyed that place. I have no idea to this day, because I never heard anything about it afterward, if the janitor ended up cleaning it up, or if they ended up finding that.
What grade were you in?
I had to be 4th, because we wanted to know Mr. reaction to it, but nobody ever... Shit! Okay, beep, again. We wanted to know his reaction to it, but we never got to know his reaction, because we never heard of it after we did it. It was very disappointing, honestly.
Yeah.
Back to you, Sonja. You have another book that you have to talk about here.
Oh, I thought like this was a quick one. No, I don't have any more fun night stories because I don't know. I didn't really have too much drama or anything really great happening. So mine. Fast forward to last one was 6th grade. Now we're in 9th grade. I think it might have been a St. Patrick's Day dance because like I remember wearing green. But I had a crush again. There's actually 2 dances. One of the dances was just like a normal like meet and greet dance or something like that, where I actually like started talking to him. This dance though, I remember, like I was really depressed, but like hanging out with him, and I think he was dating this girl at the time. Like we were like just sitting there talking and stuff. Like it was really fun. It wasn't like a big thing. It's just like I remember just sitting there for like the whole dance pretty much, just shooting the shit with him, and like after that we got closer and closer. He was a grade ahead of me. But yeah, we had a good friendship for the like 4 years out of my high school career.
Besides this particular guy, I'm just gonna call him Oxygen Tank at this point.
Okay.
Did you have any other friends that might have had something distinct that happened at these sort of functions? Because these functions brought a good portion of the school in the same place at the same time. There has to be other stories that are outside of our satellite that you remember.
2 things I remember. One is that this girl got drugged. Someone put a roofie or something in a water bottle, and she was acting all kinds of fucking loopy. She was normal when she got
there. Well, that was a pretty significant one. I don't know if that ever happened.
Again, I don't know. I'm not going to mention no names at all, but she, like, started crying when she was telling me again, so I don't know the details. She just told me that she got drugged. One of her friends noticed it, grabbed her, took her home, and was like, no, because this guy had weird intentions. The other thing is that this girl came to a dance drunk. Everybody knew it because she was like dirty dancing by herself on a wall, doing like up and down stripper pole crap. And I was like, how is she not getting kicked out right now? I think there were one of the dances I didn't go to. I think it was like older kids. They brought a bottle of wine or something to school, and they got caught. I'm like, why would you bring that to school?
That happened.
I honestly think that happens like every year.
When I was in high school, I only went to one dance, and that dance that I went to, that did happen during. But what they did is they kind of had the back door that they brought it in through. Like they propped it open and someone brought it to them instead of going into school with it.
I think they went to the locker room or something. They did like the same thing, and they kept it in the locker, and it was like empty, and they saw it, and I don't know what happened to it, but I heard like it happened one in my grade, and there was like a year or 2 years older than me got caught too.
But man, that roofie one, especially, I don't know what the circumstances were, how true that ended up being.
I said,
because again, it's not us. I can't. How does a kid that age today? I mean, it's probably a hell of a lot easier, and maybe even when you were in high school, it was easier. But I know when I was in high school, that could not have been very accessible to get something like that.
It was a senior, and I think we were in freshman.
Makes me seem like I'm an old man the way I'm saying that.
There was rumors about it, but like me and her, like we got close one year because we had art class and stuff, and she told me, and I was like, oh my god, like I gave her like a few chalk. I'm like, oh my god, I didn't know. I was like, I heard about it, but I didn't know how true it was or what the circumstances were. I felt really bad.
Sad. Just what kind of fucking parents? That's all I'm gonna say. I don't know, but
yeah, sorry. I wasn't gonna mention that because, like I said, I don't want anyone to like get mad at me or anything. I mean, I'm not using names, but whoever's listening to it might know.
I have nothing nearly that severe. I know that some people got in fights. That wasn't my business. I didn't deal with that. But we did bring certain somebody with us to one of the 8th grade dances. And I'm saying a certain somebody, again, somebody that I know personally, and I'm still sort of friends with today. He is a few years younger than us. So I'd say he was probably in 4th grade. when we were in 8th grade, and his cousin brought him to the dance, which I guess they just allowed. And
you can bring guests.
You would swear we brought a puppy with us to the dance, because especially the girls, but there were other people too that were interested in talking to him. They just swarmed him, and were all over him. They're like, "Oh my god, he's so cute," and then they were talking to him like, "Oh, what school did you go to?" and all this stuff. And they were like, "We made a mistake. Should have left this." It's like if we wanted to dance with any girls or anything during this, we just blew our chance by bringing this puppy dog with us.
Yeah, but it's only 4 years younger. That's like, yeah, he's young. What, like 9 years old? But it's like, that's weird.
I think it was. I'm not sure if it was the reaction of bringing and having someone that young at the dance, or if he had some sort of appeal to him that was something we were unaware of. But anyway, yeah, I think you're probably on deck here. What next one do you have for us?
Well, last one was 9th. Now we're moving on to 10th. It was some type of formal dance. I don't know if it was homecoming, winter ball, or whatever. But this one I remember because I don't think many of my friends went, and I was getting closer to a freshman. Like, we were like having heart talk. Spoiler: I also thought he was cute. But
what's new?
Oh, shut up. Anyway, like I remember Katy Perry's "You're Hot and You're Cold, Yes or No," bull crap. That song came up, and I hate it. I hate that kind of music. But when that song came on, I ran to him and was like, I was singing to him and everything. I was like, "Come on, dance to me." And he's like, "Get off of me." But yeah, we were goofing the whole night, talking, like having heart to hearts and stuff like that. I mean, this music, we were like way in the back, so the speakers were up front, so it wasn't too loud. But we had a fun night, and at the end, I think it ended a little sooner than it usually does. And people were like, I think my class was in charge of it, like the president and all that stuff. They were cleaning it, and I helped a little bit, but they pretty much had it all packed. They had like 6 people in there, and I'm like, whatever. So me and my friends ran around in the hallways, and we were kind of playing hide and seek because they were all dark. We were just like going like this weird square, and I was like, let's call him Ben. I'm like, where's Ben? What the hell? And we were sitting there for a minute. We're like, hey, where are you? Where are you? He comes out of a dark corner with his hoodie on. He's like, I've been here the whole time. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you creep bat. And I don't know, it was just fun. Like, we were laughing and joking the whole time, but I was like, ooh, spooky school at night. Yeah, it wasn't that big of a thing, but I remember that a lot.
So, my next story, keeping right along, I believe this was 7th grade, and as I have reiterated several times, I am very inexperienced with women.
Nerd.
But well, that's actually kind of how this happened, this next one. Apparently I'm able to pick up men without any problem.
I almost just spit out my drink.
Because it was a 7th grade dance. Sorry, I'm tripping over my words. It was a 7th grade dance, and I was with this one dude that was there. And I had talked to him, just said a few words. My goal at this dance was, as it is for most of the dances I went to, was just to try to dance with somebody. In particular, a certain girl, Snorkel, as you know I mentioned before, had a crush. So, again, I was dejected. And I go up to, you know, where the principal's office was? Where, like, that
middle school?
Yeah, it was middle school, where the payphone and all that stuff was. So I just sat there, and I had already called my mom to come get me. And then this dude comes up. We're just going to call him Afro. Afro comes up, and he says to me, he's like, "Oh, you're just sitting here waiting to leave?" And he's like, and I'm like, "Yeah." And I don't know why, but we started talking about Mortal Kombat, of all things. And we sat there at this dance talking about Mortal Kombat for like 10 minutes. And then I was like, "Hey, you want to come back to my place and play it?" Literally sounds like I'm trying to sleep with this dude. But I'm like, "Hey, want to come back to my place and play some Mortal Kombat?" So he said, "Yeah, sure." So he calls his mother on the payphone, who doesn't pick up the phone, and tells her, "Hey, I'm going home with this dude." I'll see you in the morning.
Hey, kid, want some candy?
And we went outside, we sat, we waited for my mom, and while we were waiting for my mom, we made fun of this other car that pulled up to pick somebody else up that looked like it was literally made out of every piece you could find in the junkyard, and they just stapled it onto one car.
And I have a lot where we live.
So yeah, we left. We went home to my place. We made sweet love. No, we actually did just play Mortal Kombat. Nothing nefarious happened.
Wasn't it Mortal Kombat 4?
Yeah, it was Mortal Kombat 4.
Showing love to 64!
I was actually playing the PS1 version that day.
Oh, shut up.
But we went back there. So, my success rate so far, girls 0, dudes 1. And I was very successful at it. It took me only 10, 15 minutes I convinced this kid to come back to my house.
My question
if I had went down a different path in life, I probably would have been a very successful person.
Well, my question is, did you call your mom back and be like, hey, can this guy come over? Or was she surprised? It's like, oh, whatever.
No, she came to pick me up and I'm like, hey, this is my friend. Do you mind if he comes stays the night? And my mom's like, sure, as long as he told his mom. And he's like, yeah, I told my mom.
Well, he did.
Well, yeah, he left a message. She was pissed. When shit.
When
Afro went home, I am terrible at this. When Afro went back home to his mom, she grounded him for a month for it. And, her reasoning obviously was very sound because she was like, you just went to some stranger's house that you met. Literally, for the first time that night. Obviously, we aren't murderers or anything like that, but we very well could have been.
Well, technically, he was a new kid, so why would she get so upset that he made a new friend?
It wasn't that he made a new friend. It's that he went to a dance and left without her actually knowing and just went to someone else's house.
Well, she should have picked up her phone. I mean, I can see why she'd get pissed, yes. But then again, it's like, well, at least he made a friend and he's all here and all in one piece.
Well, you know how that all ended up, which might be a story for another time. Especially if I censor the fucking name that I said out loud again.
I think it's funny because when you think about it, you don't say it, but when you're not thinking about it, you say it.
So, I only have one more tale here to tell, so what do you got for me?
I have a couple highlights. One is a, funny story, oh my god, dumb. I was in 11th or 12th grade, and they had this dance for the thespians, which is, the drama club, actors and actresses. And I'm like, well, I have a lot of friends, I'll go and support them and stuff, because I don't even think any of my friends went, except for, a couple. But they're like, oh, it's wear a white t-shirt, and we're gonna have black lights and glow sticks. They called it a glow dance. And I was like, okay, cool, that's awesome. Well, I got there, and I saw a bunch of dumbasses using, box cutters, cutting the glow sticks and taking the liquid inside and putting it on their shirts and stuff. And I'm like, you know that shit has plexiglass in it, right? I'm like, it'll fuck up your skin. And they're like, oh, nah, we're good. Cut to maybe about a hour later, this one girl that was doing it, she's like, oh my god, my skin itches, my hands. I was like, yeah, I told you.
Which is funny because a separate story from school. The same friend I mentioned in the previous story and a couple other people, they were actually out at a club, and someone dumped the powder detergent on their hand, and they noticed that the residual powder there was glowing underneath the dark lights or whatever that were on the dance floor. So naturally, these drunk idiots fucking proceeded to dump this shit all over them. And when they got home the next day and cleaned it off, there were burn marks all up their arms from where the detergent was. I thought it was a liquid kind, not powder. Oh no, it was powder detergent. It wasn't liquid. I'm not sure. Liquid might do the same thing, but it was definitely powder.
The only thing to add about this whole dance prom fun night thing is that a handful of times I had a friend that come over and my sister would do both our hairs. I went to her house once. She went to my house a couple times after the dance. Always fun. I had Like, it always ended up, most of the time, as a sleepover.
I only have one more story, but I'm going to preface this also. In ninth grade, I didn't go to school dances past ninth grade. And the last one I went to was still when I lived in New York. I did not want to go to the dances in Louisiana because they did not seem like the safest thing. I'd heard a few stories, not from my particular school that I'm aware of, but in Louisiana there were a few dances that had some issues that had arose after the fact or in a parking lot, some of them involving guns.
Jesus.
Well, that's Louisiana for you. Unfortunately, it's not the safest place. No offense to anybody in Louisiana, but the violence there is considerably higher than it is where we live in New York. But their dances also at my school were a lockdown dance. If you went,
that sounds safe.
well, that's exactly what they did to try to keep them safe. Was if you went in the building, you were locked in there until the dance ended. If for some reason you had to leave, you were not allowed to get back in at all. Even if you went outside to piss on a wall for whatever reason.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
It did not seem like a very... And, of course, their dress code was still enacted even at the dances, to some extent.
Did you have to wear the uniform?
No, we didn't have to wear the uniform, but I think that... I still think it was the same, like, dress shirts, all that stuff. Good clothes, but I think it was still more strict under what was and wasn't allowed. Almost like a girl couldn't have a dress that was above her ankles, sort of Amish thing.
Wow.
But, so I never went there. They seemed a little too strict and a little too uniform, quite literally, for my taste. But the last dance I ever went to was ninth grade. And I tried to get a date for this dance. And it was a date that at the time I thought I could possibly get, because me and her had been getting close again. Of course, you know who I'm talking about.
It's Boggles.
It's not Boggles. It's Snorkel.
Snorkel?
Yeah, good old Snorkel.
God damn it.
Well, ninth grade, for me and this particular girl, was the year that we got a lot closer, because we had been talking off and on for a few years, but then, like, those few months before I left, we really, like, every day were talking whatever else. And I had asked her to the dance. And granted, she didn't say yes. She said she'll have to think about it. Which left me with hope. I'm like, yay, I'm going to have a date to the dance and it's the girl I like. But at the same time, looking back and what I know now, if a girl says, I'll think about it, that is most likely a no. The only thing that kind of bothered me about this, and why I say I was kind of stood up, is she never did get back to me, and then I saw her at the dance because I decided to go anyway, and she was dancing with some other dude at that dance, and didn't even say anything to me, and it did kind of bother me.
She didn't say hello or anything?
No, she didn't say a single word, she didn't say sorry about not getting back to you, nothing. So I kind of left that one pretty upset with the taste in my mouth of I'm not even going to try again, which I didn't. For more than one reason. But that was pretty much my end, mostly, for that Snorkel bit, too. Which is something I've actually been going back and forth on, being something I might talk about later. For now, I think that wraps up our stories of these fun nights and dances, things of that nature. I do want to leave off with one other thing that I've been kind of thinking about. We have a few listeners that I'm aware of now. Some of them friends, most of them are friends from school, on either side. And I think it'd be interesting if for the next episode, before we close it off, if some of you that are listening will submit some questions to us, either through the Facebook post that I'll make about this episode, or even commenting on the video. We'll take those questions, we'll give whatever answers, we'll do that at the end of the next episode, if that is something that may interest anybody. Other than that, thanks for listening. Do the like, comment, subscribe thing now that we are on YouTube, because that will definitely help us to hopefully make this a better podcast in the future.
So fun.
Yeah, it's fun regardless, and I'm glad that the people that are listening have enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Next episode, we are going back to the story of our relationship and how it was built. We're going to go up to our wedding, and we're going to talk about the fun times involved with that.
Yay.
But until next time, thank you for listening. Bye.
Bye.